Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivanadhari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivanadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Braja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yanacha Yamuna Tira Vanachari Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Astadada Satasi Srimad Abhai Charnar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Astadada Satasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Sisi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinata Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhana ki jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Simayapur Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Tulasi Devi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda ki jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtana ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Garanga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Readings from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, Text number 7. Let me see. Yame swadharma niratasya tapasamadhi. Yame swadharma niratasya tapasamadhi. That's not the right one either. I had it this morning, the right meter for this verse. I don't have it now. That one? That's it, yeah. Yame swadharma niratasya tapasamadhi. Vidyatma yoga vijita bhagavat prasada. Tan eva te madanusevana varadhan. Dristim prapasya vitaramya bhayam ashokan. Okay, let's try that again. Ye me swadharma niratasya tapasamadhi. Vidyatma yoga vijita bhagavat prasada. Tan eva te mad anu sevanaya varudhan. Dristam prapasya vitaramya bhayan ashokan. Ashokan, gentlemen. Ye me swadharma niratasya tapasamadhi. Vidyatama yoga bhagavat prasada. Tan eva te mad anusevana yavarudhan. Dristam prapasya vitaramya bhayan ashokan. Ye me swadharma nirotasya tapasamadhi. Vidyatma yoga vijita bhagavat prasada. Tan eva te madanusevana varadun. Dristim prapasya vitaramya bhayan ashokan. Somebody else? Ye me swadharma niratasya tapasamadhi. Vijatama yoga vijita bhagavat prasada. Tan eva te madano sevayana nurudhan. Drishtim prapasya vitaramya bhayano shokan. Anybody else? Ladies? No ladies. Ye me swadharma niratasya tapasamadhi. Vidyatma yoga vijita bhagavat prasada. Tan eva te mad anusevanuyavaradham. Dristim prapasya vitaramya bhayam ashokam. Yea, those which may by me swadharma, own religious life, niratasya, fully occupied with, tapa, in austerity, samadhi, in meditation, vidya, in Krishna consciousness, atma yoga, by fixing the mind, vijita, achieved, bhagavat prasada, the blessings of the Lord, tan, them, eva, even, te, by you, mat, to me, anusevanaya, by devoted service, avarudhan, obtained, dristim, transcendental vision, prapasya, just see, vitarami, I am giving, abhayan, which are free from fear, ashokan, which are free from lamentation. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Kardama Muni continued, I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now just look at them. I am giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are. Purport. Devahuti engaged only in the service of Kardama Muni. She was not supposed to be so advanced in austerity, ecstasy, meditation, or Krishna consciousness, but imperceptibly she was sharing her husband's achievements, which she could neither see nor experience. Automatically, she achieved these graces of the Lord. What are the graces of the Lord? It is stated here that the graces of the Lord are abhaya, free from fearfulness. In the material world, if someone accumulates $1 million, he is always full of fear because he is always thinking, what if the money is lost? But the benediction of the Lord, Bhagavat Prasada, is never to be lost. It is simply to be enjoyed. There is no question of loss. One simply gains and enjoys gaining. Bhagavad Gita also confirms this. When one achieves the grace of the Lord, the result is that sarva dukkhani, all distresses are destroyed. When situated in the transcendental position, one is freed from the two kinds of material diseases, hankering and lamentation. This is also stated in Bhagavad Gita. After devotional life begins, we can achieve the full result of love of Godhead. Love of Krishna is the highest perfection of Bhagavat Prasada, or divine mercy. This transcendental achievement is so greatly valuable that no material happiness can compare to it. Prabhupada Saraswati said that if one achieves the grace of Lord Chaitanya, he becomes so great that he does not care a fig, even for the demigods. He thinks of monism as hellish, and for him, the perfection of controlling the senses is as easy as anything. Heavenly pleasures become to him no more than stories. Actually, there is no comparison between material happiness and transcendental happiness. By the grace of Kardama Muni, Devahuti experienced actual realization simply by serving. We get a similar example in the life of Narada Muni. In his previous life, Narada was a maidservant's son, but his mother was engaged in the service of great devotees. He got the opportunity to serve the devotees, and simply by eating the remnants of their foodstuff and carrying out their orders, he became so elevated that in his next life he became the great personality Narada. For spiritual achievement, the easiest path is to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and to serve him with heart and soul. That is the secret of success. As stated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, Yasya Prasadad Bhagavat Prasada, by serving or receiving the grace of the spiritual master, one receives the grace of the Supreme Lord. By serving her devotee husband Kardama Muni, Devahuti shared in his achievements. Similarly, a sincere disciple, simply by serving a bona fide spiritual master, can achieve all the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master simultaneously. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Prachadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskachadi Shatadine. So this is very instructive, this whole verse and purport, because that simply by associating with a spiritually advanced person, we can automatically make spiritual advancement, even without any further endeavor, just by association. And in the same way that a virus can be caught, spiritual realization can be caught just by association. You can't really teach it. You know, we can sit and read and study, and someone else can read to you and explain to you so many things, or to us in so many ways. But it's not until we actually take the shelter of the association of a pure devotee that we can finally understand and realize the absolute truth. So in this verse, Kardama Muni, who is the person speaking in today's verse, he was a very exalted devotee of the Lord. He wasn't a conditioned soul. He was actually liberated. He performed austerities for thousands and thousands of years. This whole pastime takes place in Satya Yuga, where people lived a very, very long time. So he had thousands of years just to purify himself, living alone in a forest, on the banks of a river, and preparing himself to conceive Krishna-conscious children. He was a son of Lord Brahma, whose main responsibility was creating the material world. And his sons, he gave the task or responsibility of populating the world with quality children. So it wasn't just a random thing to have children, but it was very much planned for. And we can see in the life of Kardama Muni, he spent many, many, many years purifying himself and his heart in order to attract a soul who would benefit human society. So it wasn't just a cheap thing, like so often people even have children that they don't want or they don't expect. It was a very intentional thing to conceive children. So it's a very, very responsible service, raising children in Krishna consciousness. So Kardama, he's talking to his wife Devahuti, who had performed years of austerities serving him out of love. He had met her in the previous chapters, if you have been following along, he had met her only through kind of a mystical arrangement. He had been meditating on the wife that he wanted to accompany him in his life as a life partner. He had a vision as he was contemplating eventually having children, and at the same time, Swayambhuva Manu, Devahuti's father, was also trying to figure out, how will he find a qualified husband for his very pious and righteous daughter. So in some divine arrangement, he comes to learn about Kardama Muni and brings his daughter and negotiates with him a marriage. And it was a complete match. It was just the perfect person for him. And so she spent many years, even though she came from a very wealthy background. Swayambhuva Manu was obviously a Prajapati as well. He had the role of populating the universe as well, but lived in a very luxurious environment, so she was used to living a life of comfort. But in order to assist Kardama in his path in his life, she performed years and years of austerity serving him out of love. And it wasn't that she felt, oh gosh, I have to do it. She actually, it was a result of her love. It wasn't some artificial imposition on her mind that, okay, now I have to do all this service. It was that because she had love, she naturally wanted to serve him and assist him in his service. So it's kind of interesting to note here that simply by associating him through service, she becomes completely free from fear and lamentation. It's described here. And it's also interesting to note that typically we are fearful when when things haven't happened yet. We're focused on the future. So we're imagining something that may come in the future, so we may catastrophize it, we worry about it, something may happen, a plan, we're spending a lot of time in the future. And so that usually is when fear comes, the imagination of what's happening in the future. And when the mind is focused on what has happened in the past, perhaps things didn't go the way we wanted, or we're thinking about things that we lost, people we lost, places we lost, maybe a job loss, home loss, loss of health. Then we start lamenting, or grief sets in. So we have these two. Future generally inspires fear, past meditation inspires lamentation and grief. And so how do we become free? How did Devahuti become free from this fear and lamentation? Well, how do we get beyond the past and the future, which most of us are living in all the time? When we go to bed at night, we're already planning what's happening the next day. And good luck if you're alive the next day to do whatever you were thinking about the night before. So, but the only way to free ourselves from the sufferings of the mind of the past and future is to be fully absorbed in the present moment. So all the time, not just sometimes, but the goal is to be in the present moment all the time, to let go of the past that cannot be changed anyway, and letting go of being fearful of the future, which hasn't even arrived yet. So whatever you're imagining probably won't happen anyway, or in the way that you have catastrophized. So by making the most Krishna conscious or mindful choices in the present moment, then our future will be guaranteed. So then there's nothing to worry about if you have done your due diligence in the present moment, making the appropriate choices in alignment with the Lord in our heart. Then your future will be nothing to fear about, even if and when death is coming tomorrow. You're ready. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, "Forget the past that sleeps, never the future dream at all, but act in times that are with thee, and progress thee shall call." So Srila Prabhupada comments that in the material world, if someone accumulates $1 million, or has a lot of possessions, or maybe has a very comfortable situation, then the mind is often becoming consumed by the fear of losing that money or those possessions or the comfortable situation. So the whole meditation is how to hang on to everything I have, how to defend what I have, those things, that comfortable situation. But Prabhupada explains that when a person receives the blessing or grace of the Lord, instead of feeling fear for the future and the grief about the past, perhaps that something that we lost that we thought was valuable, a person living in the present moment starts to feel grateful for everything they do have. It's a beautiful life, perhaps, surrounded by like-minded persons who share the mission and vision of the pure devotee of the Lord, just like we are doing here in the Hare Krishna movement. So instead of fearing about or lamenting or fearing about past and future, the meditation can be, if we're in the present moment, okay, what's the most important thing I should be doing right now? So it's an ever-present absorption in the potential of the now moment. So the meditation can be, in order to remain in that present absorption, is what should I be doing now? To take a moment to decide, okay, this is a choice point. What should I be doing now? And then doing that. And then what now? What now? Now what should I be doing? So that we are being guided all the time with this checking in with what is my duty to the Lord in this moment? What's the most important thing? And this is what it really means to be situated in transcendental consciousness, to be free from this material time frame of past and future, but to be here now with Krishna in this moment. Whatever service we have, whatever we're doing, do it fully, being present to it now. And when that's finished, then we move to the next now service, and then dedicating our full concentration to that. Prabhupada quotes Prabodhananda Saraswati in this purport, who said that if a person achieves the grace of Lord Chaitanya, they become so great that they do not care at all about pleasing any demigods, and considers monism to be a hellish way of thinking. So to the Western mind, we might not resonate with this notion of pleasing demigods. It's kind of a foreign concept for us. It strikes us perhaps as being like Greek mythology. You know, you've got the god of the air and the god of the water and so many gods. And so we think, well, that's not for us. That's not what, we're not hung up on that one. That isn't a problem for us. But we can, in the West, similarly be worried about or focused on projects, perhaps the project of air pollution and water pollution and all kinds of environmental things that are happening right now, that are kind of separate from, but not separate, simultaneously one but not different to Krishna consciousness. So for example, we might be worried about the many things happening in the world. I know that I am, as I look at the news and see, gosh, we're kind of destroying ourselves as we speak, as a people. And part of it is due to demonic leadership, and part of it is our own ignorance, because we also fall in line with so many things that is just a social convention without thinking, is this really a Krishna conscious thing to do? Is this really honoring the earth planet, which is created by the Lord, or a natural world, which is Krishna's energy? So we might think, we need to get busy on a project, maybe. We understand, maybe we'll join the environmental services, or we're going to now the water and power. I mean, there's so many different environmental programs that we could be joining separately from just being here and absorbing ourselves in Krishna consciousness. You might be thinking, well, I need to get busy, otherwise the world's going to fall apart. And part of that is tied to our fear. But if we start focusing solely on caring for one project over another, trying to control the outcome, rather than staying absorbed in serving the Lord in the present moment, who is in the heart of all living beings, he's in the atoms of the water, of the air, he's in every particle of earth. If we stay focused on that, then we get carried away. If we become focused on trying to control the outcome of all the things that we see around us externally, then we get carried away. It can be very, very alluring or seductive to think, okay, well, that's a Hare Krishna project, let me do that. And that's a Hare Krishna project, let me do that, because it resonates with some of our philosophy. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that by watering the root of the tree, all the leaves become satisfied. So Krishna is that root. And so if we water that root, then eventually, as people take to this watering of the root process, the world slowly transforms and changes some of those things that we're very worried about. But it requires us to trust the process, that if we align ourselves with Krishna's mission and message, that it will trickle over into all those areas in the world that we might be anxious about as we watch, people killing each other on battlefields and destroying themselves through intoxication and meat eating and, domestic violence and all kinds of things. The solution is becoming Krishna conscious, because if we have love, automatically we won't be doing those things. Also monism, that was another thing that Prabhupada Saraswati mentions, that he wouldn't be as hellish monism. And so what is monism exactly? It's the view that me and God are the same, which means that I am God and you are God and everything is God without any sense of difference. Monism is often understood to contrast to something we would call dualism, which is the notion that God is so above and beyond me that I can't have any relationship with him. He doesn't even know I exist. He doesn't know where I am, what I am. He's so totally separate. And he doesn't care, so I don't have a way to have a personal relationship. We are so separated. However, in our tradition, the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, the Vaishnava view is neither one of those two extremes. Not one with, or, one, we're all one, and also we are not completely different. But there's a understanding of what is known as a Chintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, that everything, our relationship with one another, our relationship with God, is simultaneously one and different. For example, there's this saying, when a couple gets married, the two shall be, priests might say, I don't know if we say this I don't remember when Daksha got married, whether that was proclaimed, the two shall become one, and this pronouncement. But does that really mean that now Daksha and Sajini are the same person? No, they're completely different individuals. And they never will be anything but individuals. But they can become one in love, which is what is really being suggested here. So they become united in their love for each other. So the two become one. And so in the same way, our relationship with God and one another is, there can be oneness, but also difference. So in the same way, when a person is graced with the realization that each of us is one with and different from God and all others, then we can celebrate our oneness and our difference And it's kind of a very ecstatic realization to know that everyone and everything has their own unique personalities and their talents that can be offered to Krishna. Pretty much you can do everything for the service of Krishna, except for maybe working in a slaughterhouse. I couldn't imagine, that would be something you could do. Although we have had devotees go to slaughterhouses and distribute books and prasadam to those folks. And interestingly enough, many of them do give up meat and they quit their jobs when they get a book and they start to realize, but that would not be a proper job maybe to work in a slaughterhouse for Krishna. But it's an ecstatic idea to think in terms that we all can be who we were created to be and do that for Krishna. And whatever we do that is special, a talent, some gift that we can do that nobody else can do, and then we can use that to glorify Krishna and chant the holy name while we're doing it. And that's the special feature of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, what is personalism, is that it's not all just one energy that we all have to be the same. We can celebrate the diversity and encourage one another to be the best of whatever God created them to be, and also to celebrate the amazing attributes of God. The personality that is the reservoir of all beauty, all strength, all renunciation, all fame, all knowledge, and all wealth. He's ever present, and he can engage in a personal and unique relationship with everyone at the same time, wherever they are in their spiritual life, somehow or other, Krishna, he can engage in these wonderful, loving relationships, even at the same time. We see this in the Ras Leela dance, where Krishna is dancing with all the gopis at the same time. And every gopi is thinking, oh gosh, Krishna is only dancing with me. And of course, when Krishna saw that the gopis became a little proud, thinking, oh, Krishna is only dancing with me, he left the dance, which is a secret to keeping Krishna in a relationship with us by not becoming proud or self-righteous, thinking, oh, only we have Krishna. And I think that can also be a temptation for us, because we are so excited and inspired about this Krishna conscious process, to also not acknowledge that God is also in relationship with people who are worshiping him in different ways, like Buddhism or well, that's not really a theological thing, but Prabhupada did acknowledge that Buddha was a Shaktavesha avatar as well as Islam or Muhammad, and also he acknowledged that Christianity was a Vaishnava tradition, and that the only reason we don't work with them is because of their eating habits. He said, I would work with the Pope, but they're meat eaters, and we don't resonate on that level. But the beautiful thing is that Krishna is trying to attract all of us home, no matter where we are in our spiritual progress, and that's a beautiful thing. So, if we are blessed with this Krishna vision, then life is full of possibilities and surprises. Every day we can be in an exciting meditation. When we wake up in the morning, whatever plans we may have had for ourselves the night before, but perhaps Krishna has a different plan. Sometimes that happens. I've had the experience that I've woken up and I've had a plan for something, and then it totally changes overnight. And what I thought I was all ready to do didn't happen. And so I might, in the beginning, think, I should resist that. Oh, gosh, I might be frustrated about that. And now I'm lamenting. I lost my plan. But if I can remember that to stay in the present moment and click this switch button from lamentation to, wait a minute, this might not have been my plan for me today, or this might have been not have been Krishna's plan, but Krishna has a different plan. Now let me open my heart and mind and surrender to whatever that plan is and see what I can learn from that. This can be a wonderful opportunity. And I have learned going forward that the more I can see those reverses and turn them from something that frustrates me and be open to what is Krishna's plan? Things are changing. Let me be open to seeing what they are and try to find the magic in that moment. Then life can be very, very exciting. We become a tool or an instrument in Krishna's hands rather than trying to use Krishna for our plans. So Prabhupada is explaining in this purport to this text that there's no comparison between material happiness and transcendental happiness, because material happiness always means working very hard to try and control some outcome, and then being devastated if things don't work out the way we planned. Meanwhile, devotees, on the other hand, they may work very hard, and I'm aware that most of us work pretty hard every day, and when you're time to go to bed, you're wiped out. You've spent. I don't know, is that true? Would you say you've given it all? But they're meditating on how they'd like things to go, but they're not attached to the result. And that's a big difference. If a materialist is working hard and for something for themselves and then it doesn't work out, there's a whole frustration and devastation that comes, because if your endeavors don't bear fruit, then you're the one who has to bear consequences. But for devotees, if we do an endeavor, we can even say, God willing, or I'm aspiring to. If it doesn't work out, we're not attached to the result. It's just the process that creates our love. It doesn't really matter what we do. It's the intention and the attitude by which we do it that inspires and encourages love. So if things don't work out the way we thought it was going to work out or had hoped, then it doesn't really matter. We get benefit just by trying. And that's the difference. Even if things don't work out the way we'd hope, we get the benefit. Krishna sees how much we struggle, he sees how much we try, and he's reciprocating with that, not necessarily the result. So he appreciates our endeavors and all the loving energy that goes into the service that we do. There's a really wonderful story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about a devotee of Lord Chaitanya and his wife who had invited the Lord for a meal. And they were so excited to have the Lord in their home, is that while they were preparing the meal, they got confused. They were just so blinded by their ecstasy is that they ended up putting the peels of the banana on a plate and didn't put the banana. They peeled the banana, but they got confused. And so they served Lord Chaitanya this plate of banana peels, blinded by their love for him. And he's so excited and honored because he sees, oh, I see what they've done. They're just so ecstatic to serve me that they have confused the bananas and the banana peels. And so he saw the love in that. He didn't, oh, wow, how stupid they were, so stupid that they didn't do the right thing. He saw the love. And that's something to be mindful of, because, sometimes the things we do are clumsy. Some things we do they don't work out, But if we have love and we have tried our best to please the Lord in some way, then Krishna, he will reciprocate. Another example Prabhupada gives in this purport is the example of Narada Muni, who was the son of a maidservant living in a small saintly ashram of saintly devotees. It wasn't very big, it wasn't very opulent. They probably lived in mud huts on dirt floors. And Prabhupada is explaining how, in Narada, he was a little child. He was under 5 years old. His mother was serving, cleaning, washing dishes and plates, and they were probably leaf plates back then too. But he was just a little kid running around in this ashram, and naturally little children are kind of cute, and elders are fond of them, and the sages that were living there, they took a liking to him and started to feed him the remnants of their food, whatever was left on their plates and stuff. And so he started to develop a loving relationship with them and hang out with them while they were talking about Krishna. And so in this way, just by associating with pure devotees, he became enlightened, so much so in his next life, he became the famous Narada Muni, who we know shows up in many of our Bhagavatam stories, where he shows up in time to solve a problem for somebody. He's transcendental to time and place. He travels around with his Veena singing the glories of Krishna. And just from that little association as a child, he made so much advancement. So it just requires sincerity and seriousness to please your teacher, your spiritual master, just through one service. It's just an attitude. It's really what opens the veil or lifts the curtain of Maya, that level of sincerity and absorption in trying to please and trying to be helpful to the Lord's pure devotee, but also his mission. And that's a mystical process. Vaishnavism is a mystical path, is that you cannot, just by studying with your material mind, the philosophy and all of that, it's only when the heart actually sincerely and seriously endeavors to please and assist the Lord's pure devotee that the curtain goes up. You might have all the mantras and all the philosophy, but you're seeing in a materialistic way. You see things materially. And because Maya Devi, who's a pure devotee of the Lord, she is personally, her task is to keep the insincere out. So you may, for lifetimes, try to go through the motions of bhakti yoga without a lot of realization because the heart's not in the right place. And once she sees that you have no other motive than to please and serve the mission and message of the pure devotee, then she will raise up this veil or this covering so that we can see things as they are. It's a really mystical process. You can't make it happen. So this is the magic of having the association of devotees who are aspiring to serve the order of Guru and Krishna. Even if we only have the capacity to do a tiny bit of service, just by making a little effort, cutting a few vegetables, washing a few pots with a sincere desire to please, serving out prasadam, sharing with others whatever you've learned, chanting even once the Hare Krishna mantra, our spiritual growth will begin. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in this endeavor there's no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. And what is that most dangerous thing that we could fear? Is that we take birth in a body or in a situation where we are totally forgetful of who we are as part and parcel of Krishna. So just by tasting prasadam, by offering a flower, by doing any kind of little service for the Lord will protect us from this most dangerous situation. And we can then, even if we don't go back to Godhead in this lifetime, our process can continue in a very, very favorable way. So I'm going to stop here. We have about 6 minutes. If anybody has a reflection, something they'd like to share, something that came up as you heard the verse or the purport, anything you'd like to comment on or a question, anything you resonated with, please add something.
Thank you for the class, Rambhoru Mataji. It's really nice. I just wanted, because, we're in the Kali Yuga and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world.
Yeah.
But it's also, we have to keep coming back to the understanding that it's all part of Krishna's plan. Mm-hmm. And, we have to go through these cycles of time. But ultimately, if we want, it doesn't seem to be affecting devotees as much, I don't think, because they have the understanding and they have Krishna. So, I don't know what I was just kind of rambling on, but you see there is a lot of suffering, but the only way that people are able to relieve that is the change of consciousness, which is why
Yeah.
this movement's so important.
Well, there's something really interesting happening. You've got Kali Yuga, which is really on fire, but then you've got because then you're kind of overlapping. The Bhakti Yoga process is sort of bringing in the next yuga. We're like in the winter age, and winter age is like everything's going down, kind of destroying. And Prabhupada said even there probably will be a third world war at some point. And devotees will be some of the devotees will die, and there will be a lot of devastation before, new things start beginning again. And we carry on this torch of the mode of goodness. There's not many of us. I mean, we have a worldwide movement, and a lot of people, come and they enjoy the prasadam and they make so much advancement. But if you think generation after generation, all the seeds that have been planted in this lifetime for so many people, then their next birth, it will grow lifetime after lifetime to the point where it reaches a tipping point. So we're kind of pioneers in something that is incredibly powerful, that's going to manifest beyond. We will not be alive to see it. Maybe in another lifetime, maybe we won't be here anymore on this planet, who knows. But that's also part of bhakti, is having faith in the message and the mission, even if you can't see the result and you're not there to enjoy the results. We still have to do what we can now and leave the results to Krishna, because he knows what he's doing. He's just using us in his own plan. We may not see what it is. What we started with may not end up with what it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything else?
I have one more. With the soul's transmigration, is it chronological in time-wise? If we die and our soul transmigrates to another body, is it in chronological order?
Gosh, I don't know. You'd have to be God to know that. I would assume not, because the determining factor of taking birth in this world is matching with parents who are just exactly the thing you need, in terms of what your consciousness was at the point of death takes you to the next destination. And obviously you have this period that's not time, earth time, where you have to suffer some of the things and enjoy some of the things, and then you take birth in another family, in another culture perhaps. It may not even be on this planet. So, gosh, I would not know the answer to how that works. It's mysterious. Yeah. All right. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai.